Well, good morning, everyone. This is great. It's a great turnout today. I'm RGX coach and mentor Dan Boobany, and twice a month we spotlight yet another RGX coach who's experiencing life-changing results. And while it sounds too good to be true, and look, I'll admit, I was just as skeptical as you are, attaining greater work-life balance, making more money than you ever have before, growing your business, or even just running it more efficiently. These are genuine success stories from real coaches just like you and me. And this is an amazing turnout. I was telling Sarah Dant before I introduce her that this is probably the second biggest turnout that I have seen for one of these calls since maybe probably Riley Andrews. I would say Riley Andrews, and we've had the most turnout. This is just an amazing turnout, and you guys are in for a real treat. Sarah Dant has been a PGA professional, teaching professional, and coach at Royal Poinciana Golf Club in Lake Worth, Florida since 2011. She's been with RGX since 2016. And Sarah can only be described as an expert when it comes to not only coaching women, but designing coaching programs for high handicap players, setting appropriate expectations to help players achieve their goals, teaching players how to measure their ability and progress, and developing skill development sessions based on-course feedback. Sarah's going to share a brief story with us, and then we're going to do a little Q&A before opening it up to the rest of the group. Please keep yourself muted, but feel free to submit your questions as they come up by using the chat below. All we ask is that you share the city and state where you're located, as well as the name of your facility. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Sarah Dant.
Thanks, Dan. That was quite an introduction.
Well, you look,
a little
you
over
deserve
the top.
it.
No, I'm just
You
kidding.
deserve it.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, the first thing I have to say is this is a perfect example why you need to update your website, because I no longer am blonde, 43-year-old mother, gone back to natural. So these pictures are a little outdated, but thank you though for that. So I am currently, like Dan was saying, teaching down in Florida. I've been here for quite a while now. I was teaching up in Tennessee for a very long time. And I have to just tell you my story, why I completely lost it one day and was about to quit teaching golf until I found coaching and RGX. I was just giving a lot of lessons, a lot of one-on-one lessons, mostly a lot of men. So I was very, very frustrated with never good enough, never getting better, lots of complaining. I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I'm quitting this whole thing. This is awful. And then I started going into coaching and realized that there was a whole world of opportunity that I could do, that I was like, this is great. I love this. And luckily at the time I was teaching down in Florida too. So I'm at a country club, any facility that has, I call everyone a country club golfer when I talk to them. I don't call them amateurs or high handicappers, but for purposes of today, that's what we're obviously talking about. But a country club level golfer, just someone who's enjoying the game, does not want to practice, does not want to commit too much, but they want to improve and get better and enjoy the game more. So I kind of just started building a program in Florida, a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger, and it started to really grow. And especially with women, it's super easy to do. I find it much easier to do with kids and ladies. And so it's just kind of expanded into a pretty big program of higher handicappers. I hate to say that, but those are the people that can get the results the fastest. And now it's actually something where I love going to work. I didn't have to quit teaching golf, helping people see results quick. And, now it's just become this program that's a little overwhelming and needs to be kind of tailored down a little bit. But, having too many clients is always an amazing thing, right? Which is what we're looking for. So that's kind of my story, how I got here. And I've been working with RGX now. Will helped me really organize the group training part of it, which was super helpful, just so that I didn't have to get rid of people necessarily. And I personally love group training. I think women love group training. And it just helps me have a really organized system that I can set up, a program that people are buying into. So kind of where we are and how I got here.
Awesome. Well, Sarah, one of the questions that we have as we talk about designing programs for high handicap players is, before you can design the right coaching program, regardless of handicap, you have to set appropriate expectations. The question is, how do you do that?
Yep. So I think one of the big things is helping them set expectations. And I'm going to ramble about this for a second because I have had so many situations where I'm just like, why do you let this go too long with people? I think the first time you meet somebody, the first time you work with a student, the first thing you need to do is set their expectation level or help them or coach them through that. So, what do they want? What are they trying to accomplish? Is it, I just want to go play golf and not embarrass myself? Or I really want to break 100. I'm tired of shooting 105s and 108s, or I'm trying to shoot lower 90s. Take whatever it is that they say to you and help them see the plan for it. So let's just use a classic example of, I just want to break 100. We all know that's not hard. They don't know that's not hard. So we need to help them set it up. So one of the things that I do is I'll do the math for them. And so I think it's really important you say, well, shooting a 97, and again, always make sure that you're talking about range of scores. So usually when someone says they want to break 100, if they do it twice, they're like, I did it, and then the rest of their scores are 105, like whatever, they're happy. So taking out the scorecards and saying, okay, if we're going to shoot 95 to 99, which is super happy, that means we have to make all bogeys, a lot of bogeys, and you get to make a couple double bogeys. So I'll go through and I'll just say, what holes do you hate? What holes are your double bogey holes? And let's pick a few of those. But then just breaking down the course for them and saying, okay, let's take the hardest par 4 we have on this golf course. And again, like everything is tailored towards their club, their golf course, what they see every day. Okay, so here's your expectation level. We just need to get some sort of shot that goes off the tee, some sort of shot down the fairway that stays out of trouble, and I'll help them with the distances. So I'll calculate, how far does your drive go? Your current drive. Let's do the math. And we all know how to do that. So you just calculate drive, second shot, and that gets you within 60 yards. Once you're within 60 yards, what are you doing from there? That's what we really, with everybody, we're always down in three from wherever your scoring zone is. So the big thing is right in the beginning, even if it's somebody who's a new golfer, and this is where we all screw up, we don't show them this in the beginning, and they don't know how simple golf can be. So taking them out or showing them a golf course and saying, all I need you to do, if you want to learn to play golf and you want to learn to shoot low 50s, which for a 9-hole beginner golfer is amazing. Let me tell you, they all want to shoot low 50s. All you need to know how to do is hit a drive, hit the second shot, third shot. If you're within 50 yards, then we play the game from there. It's super eye-opening for golfers because their whole stress level just goes, oh, I can do that. I can literally hit a shot that goes 80 yards. I can do that. And then that also helps us say okay, so this is why your next 10 coaching sessions are going to be focused on 50 yards and in, or we're going to do half of them hitting off the tee and half of them 50 yards and in. They need to understand why you're going to have them focus on certain areas so much, because unfortunately, a lot of golfers think they need to know how to hit a 7-iron really high in the air, perfect every time, where most of my golfers that I work with don't even need to hit 7-irons ever. So they go up to the range with it, and I'm like, where's your pitching wedge? Let's learn how to hit a pitching wedge or whatever. Where's your go-to club? We need that. So I think, just being really super in the beginning, show them exactly how to shoot the scores that they want to shoot. That helps you out. That helps you design your coaching program for them after that, once you can see where are they.
So along those lines, do you think coaches do a good enough job listening to what their players really want to accomplish?
I can't say if they are not, but I would say a majority of people that probably are not on this call do not do that. Everyone on this call is obviously wanting to be a better coach and doing that, but I think that we forget to listen to them. So I have a great example the other day. I have this lady who I've just been teaching this year. She hits the ball so far. The last 3 times I've seen her, she shows me the box of dozen golf balls she lost. She's like, Sarah, look, I just lost another dozen balls. And I'm like, oh my God, this woman, right? Whatever. So she texted me the other day. She's like, I just played the best golf I've ever played. And I'm like, oh, awesome. Yeah. What was that? She goes, I don't know. I don't know what I shot. I'll send you the card. I'm like, you don't know what you shot. Okay. And she goes, and she sent a little emoji that said, all I know is I see a lot of 5s and 6s. And she did the thumbs up. but there was also 3 8s and 2 10s. And she doesn't even see that part because she's just so excited. The fact that she had some 5s and 6s that for me, I could have easily been like, this is terrible. Oh my God, you shot 68. Oh, she is looking at it as I played the whole round of golf with one golf ball. That was what like excited her, and that she had some 5s and 6s. And so like, we have to be very careful about our expectation level compared to their expectation level and really listening to what's making them happy. Because what makes me happy is for her to stop making 10s, but she's okay with it that way. Or just in general, like there's been plenty of times where I'll ask the student, did you like that shot? And they're like, I loved it. I'm like, okay, let's move on because that was the worst shot I've ever seen, but you were fine. So I think it's really important. You have so much conversation and you ask the questions and you say, you know, where are we? Do you like that? You know, was that good? You know, you'll be amazed how many people are happier with things that we would never be, and that you learn to really listen to them and hear what they have to say, or what they're, you know, what are their goals? You know, I mean, they say that like, oh, I want to break 100, but what does that really mean to you? Or in a sense of like, they just want to stop topping the ball. A lot of times I want to be more consistent. I want to start hitting it better. All right, well, let's figure out the way to do that then.
So then once you get players on the golf course, what do you coach them or teach them to track as far as stats?
Yeah. So let's just say, because again, we're staying in the topic of higher handicappers. So I categorize everybody into like 2 groups where it's, I'm a double bogey golfer or I'm a bogey golfer. So the double bogey golfer would be more, I'm still on there, right? Yeah. Okay. The double bogey golfer is more the player that's like a 9-holer, a new golfer, someone who feels completely overwhelmed with the game in general. The way I track that person is like, okay, this person really wants to shoot. They want to learn to play. They want to shoot lower 50s, or they even want to break into the 90s. Or the 40s, sorry. So I always say like, you want your scorecard to start with a number 4, you would be happy, or a number like a 50 to 54. Okay. So I break the golf hole because those people also have a really hard time understanding the game of golf. So I make it super simple as far as like break the hole into 2 sections. I wish I had a scorecard with us I would show you, but like on our scorecard, there's a line that goes right through it. I call that like the 50-yard line. So I'll just write 50 yards and I'll tell them, I want you to track all the number of shots you hit to the 50-yard line, and then all the shots you had after the 50-yard line. So on their scorecard, we have like 6 lines that you can put people's names on. So 3 are on top and 3 are on the bottom. And then right in the middle, there's that par. So it says par 4, par whatever. So they can understand that like, okay, so my goal is to get to 50 yards in 1 shot less than par. So if it's a par 4, you have to do it in 3. If it's a par 3, you do it in 2, whatever. So that's their get to the 50-yard line marker. Then what are you doing after 50 yards? And eye-opening to me and everyone else is always like, you are getting to 50 yards just fine. And then you have on this below the 50-yard line, you have 5s, 4s, 3s. Every now and then you might have a couple 3s, but a lot of 4s and 5s. So it's very like right away to them, I'm not working on your golf swing anymore until you can get 3s along the bottom line. So that's always like our agreement. Unless, of course, like this lady I had that is losing a dozen balls, like let's get the ball in play. But otherwise, most people are very eye-opening and awake to my down in 3s are terrible. And by the way, most people don't know what that even means. So try not to use down in 3 with them. Then if I have like a bogey golfer, somebody that's like, I want to break in the 90s. I don't want to shoot in the 100s anymore. Okay. So let's start looking at where you're making double bogeys. For me, what I find most people, especially because I'm dealing with ladies, is that they don't know how to manage a golf course and to keep out of trouble. So trouble meaning they hit into every bunker and then they can't get out in one consistently, or they will put themselves in the worst short game shot I've ever seen and then get mad that they can't make down in 3 from that. So as far as they're concerned, I still do the same thing, but I'll say, okay, let's say 75 yards is your scoring zone. So can you get inside 75 yards in how many shots? Let's say 2 less than par or 1 less than par. So tell me how many shots it takes you to get to 75 yards. And then what are you doing after 75? Because of course we know bogey golfers need to be able to hit iron shots onto greens from 100 yards and in. So then it's very telling as far as, of course there's a couple difficult holes on each golf course. So of course you're going to make doubles, but how do we turn some of those doubles into bogey golf? What are you doing from a course management? Like, are you laying up properly? Do you know how to lay up short of a bunker? Do you know how to lay up short of the trouble or avoid the water or whatever it might be? Are you putting yourself, I always say their goal from the layup shot in the fairway, give yourself the easiest short game shot you can see on this hole. And that helps them really be able to say like, well, short left, and like, let's hit it short left. So a lot of times it's that course management. That's what you can be doing on the golf course with them.
So then based on the data that you collect out on the golf course, how do you develop skill development sessions, maybe off course or even on course, that are going to help your players to achieve their goals?
Yep. So, then this is where kind of like, if it's a new student, okay, now of course there needs to be some instruction involved, because I can't have you sculling a pitching wedge every time you put it in your hand. So for me, it's always going to be, we have a awesome practice facility for short game. So it's really easy for me to hit shots into a green when not everybody has that. So then what I would do is a lot of my practice sessions are not on the practice facility, like a driving range, because it's very rare that I find someone who can't hit a driver 100 yards. Very rare. And if it's somebody who can't, it's usually because they're an old lady, and I'm sort of like, it is what it is, and they're fine with it. They are fine with it, really. So if the person is struggling, like keeping the ball in play, that's different. But then it comes down to, all right, let's go to the short game area. For me, what I've done, I've been super successful at this, is I ask them to show me their short game. So show me what you do when you're bump and run, show me your best short game shot. And you'll be amazed. A lot of people are like, I'm really good at a bump and run. And they'll take out an 8-iron or a 9-iron or something, and they hit this beautiful little short game shot that they have no idea what it is or why they're good at it. They just know that I can bump my 8-iron and it runs out a little bit. So I try to identify their best swing in the short game and then use that to start gapping their clubs. So for instance, a lot of times I'll see somebody will grab a pitching wedge and say, I'm really good at this bump and run shot. They pull it out and it's a pitch shot. And I'm like, awesome. That bump and run just went 50 yards. So we got you covered. And instead of going over there and being like, okay, now you need to learn how to chip this way and you got to put the club this way. And then no, figure out what they do really well and then go from there with it. Because now, like, a lot of my ladies will have charts. Greatest thing ever to do for your students is give them a yardage chart with their irons, because it's like, they have no idea what they're doing. So if it says like 50-yard pitching wedge, it's your bump and run swing. That's what we're going to call it. And then your 9-iron will go this far and your 8-iron will go this far in your sandwich. And all of a sudden now they have 70 yards and in covered what they're considering bump and running. So it's a really fast way to just be like, oh, I got a short game actually. Now we get to go actually practice it. And I can set up the stations. It's like, okay, you guys, we're standing 40 yards from that flag. And then we're going to move back to 50 and you're going to grab one. I know this sounds like so basic and stupid, but like, this is what we need to do with them. So then we set up the stations for yardage, because part of, to me, higher handicappers, the biggest thing we face is they don't trust themselves. They don't believe the ball is going to do. Even if they do it 1,000 times the right way, they will still go out on the golf course and go, I don't trust it. It's not going to work. It's just like, what are we doing? Especially women, like, so much insecurity. So the more that they can see and the more that you're saying to them, okay, look, Joni, that shot just went 55 yards. Let's write it down and let's confirm that you have that shot covered. I think is really important. Like, they could spend a whole season with me just doing that over and over and over. And I have to continue to say to them, did you see how that only went 60? So the max that shot is ever going to go for you is 50 to 60. And keep the yardage conversation going over and over and over, because when they get on the course, that's why they break down. They don't trust that any of it's going to work at all. So then that, and obviously we have putt. Everybody knows putting. Everybody's got putting drills. Obviously spending as much time as you can on putting. And bunkers, all that stuff. So basically just trying to break it down from those stats and say, this person is struggling from their 50 yards and in. They're going to work on that for a really long time. This person here cannot get to 50 yards in the right number of shots that I need them to based on what they want. So I'm going to have to give them a few lessons on the range with their swing. And again, it's simple, always simple instruction.
So how do you, if you're delivering the same message to a player over and over again, because you know that that's what they need in order to achieve their goal, how do you keep that message from coming across as stale or like you're a broken record? Because you keep saying, look, you have too many 3-putts. We really need to work on your putting, not your full swing.
I think that's why if you have your students track, you don't even have to say anything. Data's right there. Like, oh my gosh, Sarah, they have no idea. So unless you're getting them to start recording something, they really think that they're good putters. It's amazing. Like, it happens to me all the time. I'm like, can you just go out and track your putts for me? That's all I need to see. Or I like the idea of tracking 50 yards and in, because it does show you and I'll say to them, like, is it your short game or is it your putting? Like, is your short game shot leaving you 50 feet from the hole? It's a short game issue. If your short game shot is getting you in 20-foot circle, great. It's a putting issue. And usually it's a short game issue. Usually it's club selection. Usually it's bad contact. Because again, I think most people have no trust in 75 yards and in that the shot is going to do what they need it to do. So, they practice yoga, they practice tennis, they practice pickle. They're doing all this. So like for me, it's very easy to sell practice sessions because I'm like, until you can give me a 3 on the scorecard, you're going to keep coming to these sessions because you clearly aren't trusting any of it yet. So it's very easy to say, I might need to see you 7 times in a row until you believe you can do it. And then there's other students that are like, I got it. I'm good. Great. Go play some good golf. We're here to help them in any way we need to. So not everybody is going to face the same challenges. But I think you have to set the expectations and you have to have them tracking something, whatever it is. Pick one thing that they have to track. And, higher handicappers tend to give you trouble. Like, oh, I get so flustered. I can't track, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, just pick one thing when you're playing golf with your husband. Don't do it on ladies' day. Don't do it when you're stressed out. Go out and play 9 holes by yourself and track this and see how it goes. And that's usually super successful for them.
That's great advice. Well, Sarah, as you might expect, with this many participants, we have 23 attendees today. Okay. The questions are coming in fast and furious. This is amazing. So Brian Jones from Kenwood Country Club in Cincinnati asks, how many days a week do you run your programs? And then do you do any individual instruction?
So first I have to say to Brian, I have a lot of your students at my club at Kenwood, from Kenwood. So we have a lot of same members. Okay, so I personally have gotten myself worked into a pretty big program. I'm pretty much every day, 9 to 5, 8 to 5 kind of. But if you're just starting out, the best way to do it is pick some times that are super good times for people. I knew Monday from 9 to 10:30 is a really good time. People are free. No one's doing anything. So I started with that. And then I did these other classes like boot camps and on-course classes. And so it just kind of grew and grew into different programs. So if someone comes to me and says, I want to get in your classes, now it's not even like I want privates. It's like, I want to be in these classes that everyone's talking about. I will funnel them into where I think works for them. So if it's a new golfer trying to break 69-holer, I'll put them in a lot of practice sessions after I've shown them how to play. Then they come back and they do a lot of short game and putting stuff. And then very few of them have to actually do full swing because they're learning so much in their practice. I think I just went off on a tangent. That's the easiest way to start, is just kind of pick classes that will work, that you can funnel people into, which is what RGX is great when you start looking at it and saying, I have 40 people. How do I get them into group coaching, or how do I get them into classes?
Excellent.
Sorry.
Kevin Coombs of PGA Orchard, Kevin Coombs of Orchard Hills Country Club in Washougal, Washington asks, how often do you recommend that your students play a shorter set of tees or play it more forward?
I would love for them to do that. They just won't. I mean, I love Op 36. I think it's the coolest thing ever. But for us, I mean, I'm dealing with country club golfers who have their schedule. They play bridge, they golf, they do pickle. Everything is so laid out for them that I'm never going to be able to get them to go play from 50 yards. They don't have the time to do it. So that's what they do it with me. So in my on-course class, I'll be like, okay, girls, we're going to hit our layup shot. So I'll go to 150 yards where I know that they shouldn't be going for the green. And I'll have them calculate, all right, where's the distance to lay up? And then we're going to do the short game from there. So you can be doing that with them. I don't know about everyone else, but I think most people can hit their drivers just fine. As long as they are getting it over 100 yards, I'm fine with that. From there, it's like that layup club and then the second shots. If you can get your students to do it, like obviously an Op 36 is awesome. If you can get a program where women go out and do that, it's ideal. Once a week, have them play from there. But I think if you break it down and say your scoring zone is 50 yards, what are you doing from 50 yards? Or your scoring zone is 75 yards. What are you doing from 75 yards? And again, we're just talking higher handicappers. So that's a whole different story for higher level players.
Yeah, no question. So Jay Cook from Country Club of Vermont in Waterbury Center, Vermont asks, now that you're a mom, he's assuming that you're even more committed to the whole work-life balance idea.
Yeah.
And he asks, what part of motherhood surprised you, either because now life is more complicated and harder, or what part actually helped add some inspiration?
Jay knows me very well. So he knows that, yes, now I'm more driven. You know, he knows how much I work, how much I don't say no to people. And so now I am more motivated I'm not working 80 hours a week anymore. I'm not going to work. I mean, I'm getting to this point now, I'm mid-season where it's like, I can't keep doing this. This is ridiculous. So, I mean, obviously when you're forced, in the past, I've always like, oh yeah, work-life balance, blah, blah, blah. But now it's like, no, it's a very important thing. And you just structure your programs around it. You know, you got to have your family time. You got to have whatever, especially for me, because I'm in a season location where it's like, I have to make all my money in 6 months, 7 months. And so it's very hard to say no to 10 more people, because you're like, oh, that's a lot of money coming in. But you have to just say, you know, this has made it more realistic. Jay, you know me.
So Brian asks a follow-up question as it relates to yardages and giving your players some kind of a chart that they can measure their distances for irons, whatever they're hitting. Mm-hmm. What do you use for a yardage chart? Is that something you made up yourself, or do you have something that you like to use?
I have no fancy equipment. It's just me. No, I'm just kidding. If you have all the technology, use it, because obviously it's much more of a feedback for them. I find personally, most people don't do well at my level that I'm teaching. They don't do well on the turf grass when it comes to like actually using a measuring device. It takes us a while to do a yardage chart also, because they can be super extensive or they can be super easy. The problem we find is the inconsistency with our golfers. It's like, oh, they just hit the greatest shot they've ever hit or will hit ever again. And now they think that was their yardage. So I do a lot of, like, every time I'm on the golf course, someone will hit a shot. I'm like, what'd you hit? And I write it down, and I have a file on each person that at the end of my day, I go back to my notes and I stick it in their file and I say, pitching wedge on this hole, blah, blah, blah. I can pretty much at that point be like, at their swing speeds, their clubs are going 10 yards different. And then I just give them something to start. They don't need it perfect. They don't even need it exact. They just need to know, when I'm in this range, this is a club I should hit. And because Sarah told me it's okay, they start to trust it. Whereas if they do it on their own, it's really important you do it with them as the coach, and you really help them work through it, consistently when you're out playing with them. In a practice session, it's super easy because if I have us starting at 40 yards, I'm like, okay, everyone pull out your charts. Everyone has a chart always with them. I laminate them and I put a little hole in the top and I stick them on their bags. Everyone's got their chart. Pull out your chart. Let's figure out what club you're going to hit. And then we confirm that it's right. And if it's wrong, I make new charts for them. So it's a little bit of work, but I have my ladies go play at other clubs and they're like, where'd you get this? I want one of these. And I'm like, yeah, that's what you get for being part of Saturday Night Golf. So it's just something don't overlook at all, for sure.
So when you were talking, it made me think of a question, which is, do you find that with the players you're coaching that they almost need permission to try certain shots, to use certain clubs, to try different things?
Yes.
Is that a higher handicap thing, or why do you think that is? Where does that come from?
Someone said this to me the other day. They were like, this is so great. You gave me permission. And I'm like, really? Is that a thing? Like, yeah. She's like, oh my God, you told me it's okay. It's okay. I'm like, all right, cool. I think women are extremely insecure in general. And then you put them into golf where they've been beat up by golf pros and their husbands on how bad they are. So they're now in this environment of like constant insecurity. And I'm not saying all of them are like that. We're dealing with higher handicappers. They tend to not get better because of their insecurities. So yes, the more I say to them and give permission, be like, hit that shot. That is your favorite swing. That's your favorite club. Do it 3 times down a hole and you'll be just fine. So you have to be if you're going to be a really good coach, you have to remember, keep the negative things out, you need to improve on this and you need to change this and you need to get better at this. Reword it into like, hey, look what you're really good at. Let's use that more often. Like, that's why I love going to the short game and say, show me your favorite shot. Let's work from there. We can make this work somehow where they don't have to make super big changes. Because again, the game is so overwhelming for them. None of us can even grasp how hard it is for them mentally.
Yeah, I totally agree. So Kevin asks a follow-up question. He says he has a lady who's learning that she needs to hit 9-iron from 50 yards, and she's having a hard time trusting that this is the club that she needs for the job. So question is, any key phrases to help her trust a full swing from such a short distance?
Full swing, 50 yards. Yep.
That's what he's saying. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Nodding. Yes.
Okay. I have a hard time. I don't ever let them hit full swings from that close to the green, because my motto is big swing, big misses. But it sounds like she probably has no club head speed anyway, so she might need to hit full swing. Just the bottom line when it comes to trust, until the person sees themselves doing it enough in competition under stress, they will never trust anything. They're never going to say this works. So I call it I can do sessions. If they need to hit another 1,000 balls before they can do it, then she's going to have to do that. There's just no way around it. The problem is if you give her 10 balls and she only does it 2 times out of 10, she's not going to trust it. So you either have to say, okay, maybe we have to figure out something else that she's comfortable doing, which might be hard if she's already hitting a 9-iron 50 yards, honestly. Again, if she's in a spot where it's like, I don't have to go over a bunker, I'm 50 yards from the green, take out a hybrid, have her learn how to hit a hybrid 50 yards, because she might trust that better. I will say right now for everyone, full swings with high handicappers is very scary from 50 yards and in, like 100 yards and in. They cannot do it mentally because they've seen themselves skull it over the green so much, and they've seen themselves hit it too far so much that their brain can't trigger into that's not going to happen again. So you have to remember, like they have a database full of just junk in their head of like every time the ball went over the green, which is why I'd say 90% of my golfers are not doing full swings close to a green. It's very rare that I let them do that. It's more of half swing, 3/4. Some of them call it their mini golf swing, whatever it might be. But I try to find a swing that they are very comfortable doing to where they don't require full body motion, because that's where they'll freeze up. They won't use their bodies. They'll just swing all arms and then they've topped it across the green again. And understanding contact and what's happening at the moment of impact. So I had 2 things this year that I was like, I woke up at 3 a.m. I'm like, I don't think people have any idea what's happening at the moment of impact. So I Googled a YouTube video showing slow motion, and I sent it out to everyone. And I said, if you don't watch this, you can't come back to sessions anymore. Like, you have to understand what's happening. And so then I started this thing where I put a tee right in front of the ball, which we've all done, obviously, but clip the tee, slide the club underneath there. I never use the word hit down or anything like that, but it's get the club to slide through there. And then they watched the video and they were like, I had no idea that was happening. The club is like on the ground for a really long time. And I'm like, there you go. Well, eye-opening. And so once they start to see this knowledge and have this, they're going to realize that, oh, I'm supposed to be doing it this way, not the way that I thought I was supposed to be doing it. So again, that's just personal on coaching techniques or whatever. But in the case of this lady, until she sees herself do it enough on the golf course, under pressure, in some sort of situation that scares her, she's never going to trust it, ever. So it's just give her time.
So I'm curious as to, golf is a repetition sport. We're building motor skill, developing motor movement. If you're doing most of your coaching sessions on the golf course, how do you overcome that objection from somebody who says, look, I need reps so I can trust it. I need to get to that point when you're on the golf course.
Yeah. Don't then have them go off the golf course for sure. Like, that's why I call them boot camp classes. So like tomorrow, for instance, I have a class that's an hour and there's 4 ladies coming just to hit short game shots for an hour. And they know when they come, this isn't instruction. This is, how to do this. I need you to do it over and over and over and over and over until you say, I could do this. And they know that. That's what they bought into. So I would take that lady off the golf course for sure and make her come to some practice sessions and then go, okay, let's try it again in 2 weeks. Let's go back out there and then do it again. So that's why you have to really help the individual. Like, what does this person actually need? They might not need golf course stuff right now. It might be too overwhelming to where they can't actually learn or hit the shot you need them to hit.
So another question just came in from Brian.
Okay.
And he says, what have you found is the biggest difference between coaching men and coaching women as it relates to group coaching?
Men, I have not had any success with men group coaching. I tried it and I just bailed on it. I hated it. But that's probably because I'm not a guy. I think I was making too much money with the ladies. So I just thought, why not just keep going there? Women need that. They need the community. Again, I only can speak to this because this is all I know. I don't know the men part of it enough. Okay. Women need the community. They need their friends. They need the socializing. They need to look at the lady next to them and go, I don't suck that bad. Like, I'm actually not as bad as I think I am because I just watched what she did. And that's a big thing I have to always encourage people and say, like, can you just come try this? Because I think you'll actually feel better about yourself if you're there. Ladies need lots and lots and lots of encouragement. They do not need you to tell them everything they're doing wrong. Because just the fact showing up to the golf course was really overwhelming, and getting the right outfit was very overwhelming. And all these people are looking at me and judging me they always think I'm judging them. Like, I can't tell you how many times I have to just be like, girl, stop, everyone stop. Look at me. I'm not judging you, right? We're just here to practice, because they're so insecure in a sense of what their brains are doing when they're playing golf. I love the environment of group training because it creates this, like, we're all in it together. And that lady just asked a question that helped me. And again, because I have them broken up into the same skill level. So I would never put my high level players with my people trying to shoot, 55 on 9 holes. So the conversations are the same, because I do have a group of ladies who are super advanced, country club, they're club champ, those they're a totally different breed of how I train them. A lot of that is on the golf course and mental skill assessments and stuff like that. Does that kind of answer the question, do you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. So you mentioned Jay Cook. Jay Cook is an RGX coach and mentor. And Jay had a little question he had for you that hopefully will kind of lead to a story about your coaching.
Okay.
Jay, are you there? Can you turn on your video?
I'm here.
Okay, good. Well, go right ahead. So we can't see you. We'll just have to imagine what you look like.
Yeah,
there you are. Okay, good.
I have I have Northern Vermont broadband, so I try to not use it very much. So I'll see if I can hold up here. So Sarah, you and I over the years have laughed about the fact that people are taking on shots that are just outrageous. And I remember a famous quote of yours, and you can deny it if you want, but the quote was, "You ain't got that shot."
Yeah.
All right. So
you're not that good.
You talked about people not having confidence to hit certain shots where we want to increase the confidence, but there are other people who hit shots because they think they should, but they really aren't prepared to hit it. So what do you do now in retrospect for those players who they don't have that shot? They need to look at it differently, but you don't want to deal with them in an environment of disrespect.
Yeah, that's a good question. This is a great way to finish up with this, because I think I have lost a couple of clients being a little too harsh. Will was like, "You need to be meaner. You're so nice," whatever. No, I'm just kidding. I think I have offended a couple of people in the wrong sense of, you have to say it nicer. So now what I do is I call it their decision-making skill. Go ahead and hit the shot. Like, I just let them do it. I never stop them from doing it. They scull it in a bunker, hit it in the water. Okay, so let's do it my way now. If I gave you 10 balls, could you hit this layup shot I'm asking you to hit? So I'm asking you to hit a shot that goes 110 yards, and you can hit it this big a distance, and you're not going to miss it. You're not going to get into trouble. Like, you can hit it 40 yards right or left, but there's no way it's going to hit that trouble up there. Could you do that 8 out of 10 times? Yeah. Could you hit the shot you just hit? I'll give you 7 out of 10. Let's say 6 out of 10. Absolutely 100%. They always say, "I can't even do it twice." Like, they know in their head they can't do it. They know they can't execute the shot. But then I just give it to them and I say, if you can do it 70% of the time, go ahead and do the shot. But they know the answer. They think that golf is, I'm about to hit the best golf shot I've ever hit in my life. And in case I do, I'm going to go for the green from here. That's how they play the game. And so again, when it comes to coaching, that's why you're there. That's what they want, is you to tell them, how do I play this shot? How do I play this hole? But I put it now into their court. I don't say like, you're not, Jay and I do joke about it, because actually Rick Jensen, he always says it too. You're just not good enough. Like, you don't have the shot. But now it's not so harsh, and it's more like, yeah, well, can you do it? Because if you can, go ahead. And then my final is the couple of the guys I do deal with. My one guy looks at me the other day and he goes, "I don't do dumbass shots anymore." And I was like, yes, I've only been coaching you for 6 years. And I was like, go ahead, do the dumbass shot if you want. So he's playing much smarter golf now. But again, my whole thing is always do whatever you want to do. Do not complain about your scores to me, because I'm here to help you score better. That's what all of you want. You want to play easier golf. You can play however you want, but you can't complain about your scores. That's the biggest thing. So I think as coaches, we just need to continue, like, your role is so much bigger than just looking at their golf swing or just looking at how they hit a golf ball. It is so much bigger than that. And that's what's great about people being on these calls, because you're clearly wanting to get that, and you're wanting to, be better at coaching. And there's so many different ways to do it. But anyway, so awesome, Jay. Thanks.
Jay, thank you for bringing that up. We're very close to wrapping up. I have one more question come in before we wrap up. And Wayne Larson asks, how many sessions are in your typical ladies programs, and do they prefer shorter or longer commitments? And Wayne's at Citrus Hills in Florida. Good
question. So I have a 90-minute class. That's the one that I use for people that are going to come every week. So they're pretty committed to like their session every week. And I do let them go on the golf course. So that could be like a group that's consistent with me. And then I also do a 1 hour, I call it short game boot camp, but you could do it any way you want. You could have a putting boot camp or whatever. So that's a 1 hour class. Depending how experienced you are or how well you know the students, you can have 2 people, 3, or I do 4 people now, just because I know like it's the same people coming every single week. So I know their swings really well, that I'm not going to have to spend a lot of time with them. Putting, for sure, you could do 4 people. That's about the biggest class I ever have, again, because I'm dealing with ladies and older people who aren't going to literally want to practice for 3 hours. I do know that there's a girl down the street that does a 3-hour intensive every other Saturday. She does it with like 6 people, and they do putting, short game, and lunch kind of thing. So you just have to figure out your clientele. But my students definitely like come on a regular basis. So they're pretty much coming like every week, or maybe if they have to skip a week, they'll find a different class to come to. Does that help? Pretty good.
That's great. Well,
Okay.
Sarah, if you could do us a favor while we're wrapping up here, if you could just put in a way we can contact you,
Yep.
maybe in the chat box, that would be awesome. And we're just going to kind of wrap it up here. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're ready to start your RGX journey, schedule a call today. Go to rgxcoach.com/explore, snap the QR code. We'd love to talk to you. We'd love to help you along your journey and help you to become the best coach you can possibly become. For Sarah, Dan, I'm Dan Bubany. Thanks for joining us, and have a great rest of your week and a great Thursday. Between now and our next call, we'll catch you in the RGX
Dan.
community. Thank you, Sarah. Great job.